Everybody, this is John. Welcome to the free video. Kind of a little nutty earnings stuff going on here. So we had LinkedIn, and I was watching this with the idea that I wanted to sell calls on it, and this is kind of a semi-funny story. And so in the room, sold a call spread on it, and then I got filled on that call spread so fast that made me a little superstitious. Typically, if you get filled, what I found is that if you get filled on something really fast, it's because that's the side that it's moving, meaning you don't want to get filled on that side, i.e. if you're selling. So it actually spooked me and I got out of the trade. I did this in the room, but at the end of the day, here we are, and it looks like it would have been fine. And it looks like it's actually gonna be the perfect straddle play. So LinkedIn, I ended up with nothing. I also did one on Expedia, and on this one, I actually just sold calls. That looks like it's a bust. I mean, super small size. Hold on here. So I sold the at the money 107 calls and then bought the 120 calls as protection. You can see after hours, here we are. So at this point, obviously I'm losing money. Is it well within my risk parameters? Yes. I mean, doing this is a small size. And we'll see. I mean, it may come back down. Typically what I've found is that if it moves the expected move, or if it moves through the expected move, typically it's going to sustain itself, which means that I could even buy some here after hours, but I'm not going to mess with that. And then the other one was OUTR, which had earnings, and these were some longer term calls I had on it, if I can type this in correctly. And at this point, it's selling off. This has done this before after earnings, but I was actually looking for more of an up move on that. But again, still small size on that. So earnings a little odd here, nothing really much. Besides that, then, what would be something that actually makes more sense and what is interesting? All right, so let's look at Google. So one stock I like here a lot in terms of, okay, so what's a good play right now is Google. So on Google, we have got a 78-minute chart here. Well, first of all, we obviously had this amazing move, right? And since then, now we've been kind of coming back, and we're starting to get kind of this rounded bottom here. We're starting to get a squeeze. This typically bodes well for a move, potentially to retest the highs. To me, the shorter term move would be back to 675. So that's something where we're selling puts, buying some call debit spreads with the idea that we could get up to that level next week, okay? And then from there, one of the things that I've been keeping an eye on, of course, is the overall indexes. And if we look at the S&Ps here, you can see you still got that kind of sideways action. I've been talking about that $2,100 level for a long time. I'm anticipating that we're going to still kind of stay in that range for a while. We are seeing some strength more in the NASDAQ, but again, it's still range bound. We're not seeing, except for this move here, which is amazing. You had Google and you had Amazon, you had a few things like that. We're still seeing mostly a range bound market. And we get a range bound market like that, I think the key is that, it kind of takes away from a lot of the swing trading, like, okay, let's just buy this for 4 weeks and see what happens. It makes you more conscious of day trading and being cognizant of what's going on during the day and changing market direction and anything like that you can do it. And we get a lot of questions about that. All right, so we're gonna do a free webinar, and that'll be Mr. Don Kaufman, the one and only, on Tuesday, August 4th at 8 o'clock East Coast time. All right, and what we're going to be talking about here is specifically how to pick intraday market direction. This is just one of those skills in this type of environment when we're not really seeing sustained trends that you want to be conscious of the time when, essentially we're seeing markets that are, kind of going like this, right? And how to be conscious when this is happening. Like, this is not going to continue on to an uptrend. In fact, we're going to get killed, all right? And vice versa. The short is over. Look for intraday market direction indicators that tell you that the market's about to turn around, and that's really the idea of this, right? So the questions that Don is going to cover are going to be things like, how do you determine real buying or selling in the market? How do you know if the markets are in sync, so you know which markets are leading or lagging? Okay, I know it sounds simple, but that's critically important if that's not something that you don't watch. The tools Don uses to understand the underbelly of the beast. There's some cool things here that he's shown me that have helped me a lot. The one trend that Don looks at every day to know who is in control of the markets, what internal market readings Don uses to enter and exit an intraday trade. And these, there's if you go and look at internals, there's a couple that I use as well. There's hundreds of them, okay? And you don't need to know all of them, but you want to know a handful of them, and you want to get accurate readings from them, and you want to be able to trust them. And then how to read overflow and order flow, so you know how it influences every stock, okay? So first name, email address, and again, it'll be this upcoming Tuesday, the 4th, at 8 o'clock East Coast time, and we'll see you there.